Hi boys and girls. Today we are going to begin coloring our yoga frog. This is my frog that I chose to color, and what we're going to be using is different colored pencils in different shades of greens and yellows to create a little bit of value and some contrast when we color our frog. So let's begin. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to use my darkest shade of green, and I'm going to start by outlining my frog. Oops, that point broke. I guess I pressed too hard. Remember that when you press hard, you're creating a dark value. And since I'm outlining and I'm going to want to create the idea of some shadows, I am going to use some heavy pressure when I'm outlining. I'm not going to go over my eyelashes. Since my frog has its eyes closed, I am going to leave the eyelashes for later because I'm not going to use green. I'm going to use probably black. When I'm outlining, I want to make sure I'm covering all of my pencil lines first, okay? As I'm outlining, I may decide that I kind of want to shape some parts a little differently, and that's okay to do that. Okay, oops, nostrils, I may keep them green. All right, here is my first step. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this dark color to create a little bit of a dark value around most of the edges of my frog's face. And I'm kind of gonna color in a circular kind of fashion. I'm gonna go around the mouth too. So my strokes are kind of, I'm going up and down and kind of round and round as well. Let me go around the mouth area here. I think I'm going to close off this line. Now I'm going to go right here. There's probably going to be a shadow that's being created here when the arm covers parts of the body. So I'm going to make that area a little darker too. And I'm gonna go around the belly as well. So I'm basically gonna create a shadow around here and here. Let me go back and fill that in a little bit. I don't want my coloring to look even because I'm gonna be blending this darker green with another color. So I want to make it a little uneven and jaggedy. So when I add the next lighter shade, it blends nicely. Also, depending on the direction of the lines, I may want to color in that direction. Okay, now I'm going to go around my leg as well, adding a little bit of a shadow here. And I'm not pressing that dark. I'm kind of using medium to light pressure, but this is the darkest color, so it's going to appear dark anyway. Then add a little bit of shadow around the legs. Here's going to be another shadow spot because the belly is casting a shadow on this thigh. Oop, I forgot to do the eyelids. So I'm going to add a little bit of a shadow towards the top right here. Okay, I think I'm going to take a break from this dark shade. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a lighter shade, and I'm going to use this shade now, which is slightly lighter than this one, and I'm going to start adding a little bit more color. Right around where I was at, I'm just going to add a slightly lighter and different shade of green. Can you tell already? See the change? So I'm gonna start adding that color lightly, kind of like on top of where I started with the first shade, and going a little bit beyond. Let me do it a little bit here. I'm definitely now going to go around my belly. And I'm gonna hit my arm a little bit around the edges. So as you can tell, adding color is not about just filling everything in one shot, right? It's about stages of color. I'm gonna go around here a little bit too. And remember that when we're coloring, we're focusing on that level 4 of craftsmanship, which means that we're taking our time, right? And putting in effort. To make this even, using a colored pencil, I am really using some light pressure, using kind of a circular kind of stroke when I'm coloring, and trying to fill in my spaces evenly. Okay, let's go back to that belly. So now I'm kind of going to start filling in the belly. Let me go over. I'm gonna leave this empty because I'm gonna add another shade of green in a little bit. I'm gonna do a little bit of blending of the new shade around the legs and the other side as well. Maybe the foot just a little bit. Okay, gonna put this one down. Now I'm gonna add a lighter shade of green. Okay, I'm gonna start with my frog's chin again. Blending a little bit, adding a little bit of color around the top and bottom. And I'm gonna start filling in the face. Trying to color evenly. I'm not gonna touch the eyelids because I have a totally different color that I wanna use for the eyelids. I'll leave this space a little empty still. Now I'm gonna go to the center of the belly and add another layer of green. Kind of gonna bring it around the arms. Fill in the legs a little bit more. Fill in the feet. Oops, I forgot the arms. Let me go back now to the arms. All right, I think now at this point, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to introduce a yellow. I'm gonna start with this mustard yellow and I'm gonna add some light spots. So I'm gonna start with the belly. Since the frog's belly is kind of big, I wanna introduce the idea of a light spot, like a bright spot in the roundest part of the belly, like if the light is hitting it. So I want to add some tint, which means that we add a little bit of a light spot. I'm going to fill it in, but then I'm going to go back and blend the colors a little bit better. I'm definitely blending the yellow into the green. And add a little bit of yellow here on the front of the frog's thigh. Again, add a little bit of a light spot here in the bulging part of the chin. And I want to go back and use another shade of green. I'm between these two. I think I'm going to start with the lightest one, and try and blend that green into the yellow a little bit more. I don't want the yellow to be so obvious, so I'm going to layer another color. That means I'm going to color over a different color. Use one color on top of another. gummy bear. So again, you guys can tell that this is not about coloring really, really fast. This is about kind of taking your time and then evaluating what you've done. Let me blend here a little bit. And now what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back to my dark color and go over my dark areas a little bit more, create more shadows. Kind of enhance those areas a little bit more. I'm gonna go around here, follow the arm. I'm gonna color in a little suction and accentuate by pressing really hard the arms. Go over the shadows that I wanted to make. Remember, under the arms, we wanted to create some shadows. Just wanna make them a little darker. Under the frog's chin, I think I should add a little bit more of a shadow there. Around the armpit. Back here a little bit and blend it more. And around the belly. So it's about blending colors, sometimes layering colors, kind of looking at what makes sense to you, but definitely focusing on the green family and some yellow as well. Oops, I went over a little bit more than I wanted to there. Let me go back and add a little bit more yellow right here. Blend it in. If you make a mistake, just turn that into a little happy accident, right? I'm gonna go back to my darker green. Press a little harder down because I want to accentuate those shadows. We go down to the bottom of the legs. The feet, highlight the suction part, add a little bit of shadow there. And you can tell that I really could continue going over some of these areas until I was fully satisfied. So that's going to be your choice. But I think for the purposes of our video, you guys do get the idea. Okay. I'm not really happy with this little spot there, but I'm going to take a break with that. Now what I want to do is I want to accent the eyes and the mouth. So for that, I'm going to choose a much lighter color that has kind of like a little reddish or pinkish to it. I think I'm going to start with this color first and then maybe add a little bit of color over it. So I'm going to go to the eyes and kind of blend this skin tone color on the lids. It's kind of like a brownish tan. I'm going to go to this side as well, the other eyelid. And then I'm going to color over the mouth. Like that. Then I'm going to use the next color. And give it a little bit more life. Okay, I think I'm going to go back to a green shade and blend a little bit of the green over the lids. While I'm at it, oop, my point broke. No worries, I'm just going to use another green color. Okay, and then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use a black to color in those eyelashes. Here we go. Pretty sure this is my black. Now I'm going to go over, you know what? I think I'm going to sharpen it just a little bit. And I think I'm going to do one more thing with the black. Very, very softly. Wherever I see like a shadow spot, I'm kind of going to go over those little areas ever so softly to just give it a little bit of just a little touch to kind of shape it. So I'm just layering a little bit of black in some of the areas that I really want to draw attention to, the shadows. Not too hard, just very softly. If I press too hard and I don't like the way it's looking, I can always grab the green and add a layer of a lighter color. But the trick is not to press really hard. All right, boys and girls, I'm going to continue working this on my own, but I think you all get the idea of coloring for today's lesson.